Minneapolis police argued a no-knock entry was the safest option for the raid that killed Amir Locke.
That is according to the unsealed warrant made public today. The documents include Instagram photos of 4 people standing in front of a Mercedes. Police said that it looks like the car that left a murder scene in St. Paul. Police say that the photos also show a rifle that may have been the murder weapon, and its rounds would be able to penetrate body armor. That's why they asked for the no-knock entry. When the SWAT team arrived at the Bolero Flats last week, they were looking for Locke's younger cousin, Mackay Speed, and another suspect whose name was redacted. The warrant never mentioned Locke, but he died after police officers shot him during the raid. Tonight, we are getting an inside look at what goes into executing a high-risk warrant.
For the first time, we're hearing from the man who oversaw the Minneapolis police SWAT team up until last year. Commander Scott Gerlicher was the head of the Special Operations and Intelligence Division for the last decade of his 32 years with MPD. Only on WCCO, Jennifer Merrily heard his perspective about the deadly encounter.
The no-knock warrant the Minneapolis police SWAT team executed at Bolero Flats that resulted in the death of Amir Locke is under intense scrutiny. Retired Minneapolis Police Commander Scott Gerlicher calls the high-risk warrant team highly trained.
They have specialized training, skills, and weaponry to handle very difficult and high-risk situations.
Gerlicher says before the warrant is executed, they do their research so they know the risks and make a plan to keep officers and others safe.
What or who are they looking for? Is it crimes of violence? Is it a situation where there's known to be weapons inside a residence? Violent people inside the residence?
He says their job is to execute the warrant and secure the location to make way for investigators. Adding, the high-risk warrant team is prepared for anything that may come their way.
And it takes literally less than a second for an individual holding a gun to move it and shoot. And that's the sad reality of what we deal with as police officers every day out there.
My son didn't deserve what happened to him.
Locke's family and thousands of protesters say this never should have happened and are calling for the SWAT officer who killed him to be arrested and prosecuted.
I feel for the Locke family. No parent should have to, go through the loss of a child. I also feel for the officers involved because that's the last thing any police officer wants to do is take a human life.
Gerlicher has viewed the video released of the team going in. He believes the officers followed protocol.
Once that blanket comes back, you have to think about what the officers know, again, going into that. And the officers knew in this case they were going on a high-risk warrant for an armed murder suspect who had access to the apartment that they were entering into. And the first individual they encounter is under a blanket, pulls off the blanket and is holding a pistol. What other choice would any officer have but to use deadly force in that particular scenario?
Gerlicher says the officers were operating within the training provided and the policies of MPD. He doesn't think any officers will be criminally charged. In Minneapolis, Jennifer Merrily, WCCO 4 News.
The BCA is still investigating the shooting. Once it's finished, the Attorney General and Hennepin County Attorney will then review the case for possible charges. You can watch an extended version of Gerlicher's interview on CBS News Minnesota immediately after this newscast.
Locke's family says that the SWAT team's decisions cost them an innocent son. They want justice